All right, welcome into Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Bally Bet, coming soon to Ohio. Bo and Z with you here, and we start, obviously, with the news yesterday afternoon of Miles' horrific images of the car accident with Miles, and you, I'm sure, were like me. Your heart just sinks when you see it,
yep.
And you're worried for not just a pillar of this organization, one of the best players in the NFL, but a guy that we've come to know. And you fear the worst when you see these images, and I saw them first, and it's kind of the blessing and curse of where we are in social, and most of the time it's a curse, but you see these things first without explanation. I will give a lot of credit to the authorities on the scene. They were quick to get the information out. It felt like there wasn't much lag time between, hey, did you hear, and hey, non-life threatening, and you're like, okay,
yep.
What comes of this? And so I thought, that's a great job. Out in that's the in that Medina area, Wadsworth area, where that is. That those authorities were on it and they had the information out there quickly, so there wasn't what would have been considerable panic for what happened to Miles yesterday. His agent Nicole Lynn added yesterday, and you've no doubt seen by now, transported to the hospital, alert, responsive, no life-threatening injuries, discharged last night, continued to be evaluated. So that is where you stand at this point. But this was a harrowing. Luckily, on all fronts, thank God for both Miles and the passenger in the car with him, obviously just from a human element, but also from the standpoint of the information got to us pretty quickly, so you weren't allowed, there wasn't much wandering of, oh my God, is he okay? Like, we knew pretty quickly he was.
Yeah, and thank goodness for that, because those images certainly could make you think that it wasn't going to be a good outcome for Myles Garrett. And in this case, I consider the fact that he is alive and avoided serious injury to be a win, along with that of his passenger in the car. And so I think that, that's the information we have right now. I'm sure the Browns will update once they get an opportunity. Myles is able to have, their doctors look at him and go from there. But, that was a pretty crazy all of a sudden evening after a rather benign Monday, getting ready to wrap up week 3 in the National Football League with the Cowboys and the Giants. But just happy that he is okay, and again, that is the most important thing. Football is not, because when you see a situation like that, obviously it could have been much, much worse.
I couldn't help but think how far we've come in automobiles, that you could get through that and be discharged and unscathed. I mean, it's a remarkable thing, and so that's the top of mind, and I consider everything that we heard yesterday after the images to be incredibly good news and fortunate and very blessed. It was scary for everybody in the organization, obviously. Sure. Miles and his family and everybody, and our thoughts were with that much of the night last night as that went along. And so that is something that will be monitoring. To Z's point, we'll see where the organization goes from here in terms of updating once we have that information. But most importantly, Miles is okay. He's going to be okay, and that's the positive discharge last night. Quite the weekend in the NFL.
Yeah, got to go through.
I know you guys talked about a lot of it yesterday, but
now we got one thing today. We got all of those, so we got a lot of fun going for today.
The over.
What did you think? It was fun for me to get to watch it. And by the way, a full day of football is a lot of fun.
I've been telling you that. You're not waiting all day for Sunday night.
No.
I think the Sunday night and the Monday night game were both trash. They were bad games.
It
was bad ball. They were competitive, but it wasn't good ball. I think the overarching theme for me watching this weekend in the NFL, I think our preconceived notions of Buffalo and Kansas City and Los Angeles is that they were a cut above.
Yep.
And Los Angeles has got big problems on their hands.
Injuries.
As I said, at 1 and 2, they have injuries, and to get slumped at home by Jacksonville, even with injuries, was surprising. Like, it was pretty much a beatdown from the jump street.
Stunning. What a difference Doug Peterson makes for Trevor Lawrence, for that organization.
Oh, gosh. Well, you knew that would be the case.
Of course, but maybe not
all
this
of those
fast.
people weren't going to be that wrong on that kid.
No, of course not. I never thought that they would be, but it was a slumping. But again, not to be a Chargers apologist, because they were totally slumped, but Herbert was clearly not himself.
No.
They lost their left tackle, who's a Pro Bowler for the season. Bosa went out with an injury earlier, and Keenan Allen didn't dress.
Yeah.
That's
They're down
4 of
dudes.
their top 5 players.
Yep. The injury bug hitting Buffalo as well. Micah Hyde done for the year for the Buffalo Bills. It's an enormous
Poyer
injury
didn't
to
play
them.
that
Poyer
game.
didn't play. They had 90 plays, Buffalo did, in that game. So Miami made them matriculate the ball up and down the field, and they were
Yep.
frustrated by it greatly, none more so than Ken Dorsey at the end of that game with the throwing of the pad, how angry he was. And then Kansas City losing to Indy.
It was
I mean,
a
this
stunner.
is
It was
those
a
are the
stunner.
teams that were separated. Anytime we did NFL power rankings, the 1, 2, 3 was whatever order you believed it in was Buffalo, Kansas City, and LA, and all three went down this weekend.
Yeah, it was a wild, like you said, wild weekend in the league. Green Bay, Tampa Bay was a brutal game to watch.
That was
Denver, San
awful.
Francisco was a brutal game to watch. Last night was a pretty brutal game to watch. Not a lot of points around the league. You had the Jags put up 38. You had the Ravens put up 37. Really two of the most fun games of the day in terms of just competitive back and forth. Baltimore, New England was great, but the Vikings and the Lions was actually a pretty fun game to watch, except if you had Justin Jefferson and lost a fantasy game by less than a point. No big deal.
No
Didn't
big
happen
deal
to me. Oh, wait, it did.
That's heartbreak for Detroit.
And by the way, I had to watch this whole crappy Monday Night Football game just to make sure Tony Pollard didn't rush for 100 yards. That's all he needed to do.
That's all you
99
needed?
yards, I win.
Yeah.
103, I lose because there's a 2-point bonus at 100. Of course, on the last drive of the game, why not send Ezekiel Elliott out there? I don't know. Why has he got to lead the team in carries? I don't know. He does it. I was so mad. Oh my! And like
Pollard
Giants
got 100 yards
He
yesterday?
ran for 103.
Come on.
Yeah. By the way, Giants, they're running the ball. There was 3 minutes left.
Oh
They're
my
making you use your timeouts. How does he get a 10-yard run?
But see, that's why we watch the league, because these numbers will be big from Sunday night. They'll be big. The games were bad.
Of course.
They're going to be huge, though, because of the fantasy implications, the betting implications.
Sure.
And so for all of those reasons, they will be huge. But the games have been bad. I have a theory that that we are. You had said how you watched all the games Sunday, because obviously we didn't have a game, so you're able to watch. And I've said a lot, like, I'm not waiting all day for. I'm exhausted by Sunday night.
I could have skipped the 4 o'clocks because they turned out
Well,
to be
you could.
duds.
I pick usually week
Yeah.
to week. I'll either pick. I'll watch our game at 1 when we're at 1, and then I'll pick either a 4 o'clock window or the prime time.
prime,
But I don't
yeah.
do both.
Yeah,
It's
no,
too
you can't.
much.
Too much.
So I pick which window I want to watch,
Yeah.
and I'll do it that way. But I do think that this league right now, 17-game regular season, a preseason that most people don't take very seriously. It feels like we have a lot of bad ball here to start the year, week in and week out. We've had a lot of we've had some bad games. We've had great games. There, no question. Kansas City, the Chargers was awesome. There's been some really, really good games out there. There's been thrilling games. There's been competitive games, but it hasn't necessarily been that clean. And I think it kind of comes back to, I wonder if a lot of these teams are kind of viewing the preseason, as being taking place the first couple of weeks of September.
Yeah, and then you got to get it going, though.
It's time you can't be 0-3.
It's time to ramp things up like the Las Vegas Raiders in a stunning start to the Josh McDaniels tenure there. No, you're right. I think that there is some of that. I think that you've got, some quarterbacks that are just not playing at the level you would expect them to play at. And I think that is probably one of the biggest things that's going on. Tampa doesn't have anybody for Brady to throw it to. He doesn't look great. Green Bay doesn't have anybody for Rodgers really to throw it to, so he hasn't looked great. Russ looks dreadful.
He looks lost.
He looks awful. I mean,
Yes.
he's missing layups. Sprint right option, and he's got the guy open by 5 yards, and he whiffs him completely. Like,
If you're like,
dreadful.
and it's funny, like you've seen like Sherman and stuff crow about that, like almost like I told you. Like,
No, he was very good for a while.
I understand.
Like,
That's
he was
what I
very
mean.
good for a while.
You believe it and you see it, but he looks incompetent
Yeah.
right now.
Stafford and the Rams offense does not look good without a vertical threat.
No. Oh my God, stay in that game. The
Kyler
Cardinals,
looks awful.
It's like little guy football. He's just trying to run
Run
around.
around. It's crazy.
Nonsense.
Let's see. The Eagles, Jalen looks great. They're great. The Commanders are dreadful.
Eagles and Dolphins look the most impressive. Baltimore too.
Baltimore's, Lamar.
Yeah,
He's been a
unbelievable.
one-man show.
He's been unbelievable.
He's been sensational. Carolina, New Orleans with James ever since he's gotten banged up he's awful. They're
Yeah.
terrible.
Yeah.
Alvin Kamara is like non-existent. I mean, Carolina won that game, and they are the worst offense in the NFL by a wide
Baker's
margin.
a 50% passer.
They have the fewest percentage of like their drives, first downs becoming another first down in the league. He is rated at the bottom of every possible quarterback metric in the NFL.
That's right.
They are dreadful. And they scored because they had a defensive touchdown, and they had a touchdown where he threw like just a 2-yard pass to Laviska Shenault, and he made a guy miss and ran 70 yards.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Saints couldn't do anything.
Nothing.
I mean, they were dreadful.
It's bad.
Minnesota Detroit was fun though. That was a fun game.
Fun.
Atlanta Seattle was a fun game. If you don't like defense and you just want to see people be able to do whatever they want offensively,
I couldn't watch that level of. I wasn't interested in that one just because of the leg.
I was there playing Atlanta.
I think Pete is pretty smart from the standpoint of he understood that one of the teams that was going to fight him for C.J. Stroud was Atlanta. Pete's playing a little bit of chess.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, I think I don't know if they play Houston. I don't know if they play any of the other teams that could be in that mix. But he got his first win. He beats Russ, so he can be chesty about that. I think he's going to make sure that he's picking number 1 overall. That's my prediction on that one. Heartbreak for Detroit. My God, 2 opportunities to put that game away and couldn't. That would have been a huge win for them.
Huge.
To get to 2-1, to win at Minneapolis.
Yep.
Win at Minnesota. They're trying to build something there of consequence, and they couldn't. All right, I wanted to run something by you from last night from a game presentation standpoint.
Okay.
I think Buck and Aikman is the best in the business. And this might be the best they've ever been.
I didn't hear 1 second of them. I was having the time of my life.
And now I'm going to the other part of it. On a game like that, you go the other way. On a trash game, you go Mannings because the Mannings it's a comedy. It's one comedy bit after another. Peyton's wit is so fast and so sharp and a perfect mix of deprecation and know-it-all and it's
disgust. What did I text you last night? You still were at tryouts, so you didn't get to see. There were a couple moments on that one that were absolutely just – I was sitting there. I was cackling.
They ran for 4 yards with Saquon in the third quarter, and Eli goes, 4 yards. Game like this, got to get 4 yards, Pate. Got to get 4 yards. And Pate, without skipping a beat, goes, yeah, E, that's what we want. Tell all our viewers we're going to steady die to 3 and 4 yard gains. That's what our viewers want to hear. Oh, yeah.
And he was so fired up that when Tracy Morgan came on, they finally scored. They're like, we need Tracy Morgan the whole time. But there was one. So when McAfee was the guest, there were a couple things. Peyton wanted a guy who doesn't get a pass rush, who just like is the linemen just own him, and then he jumps up and bats the ball. He goes, that should be illegal. He goes, it's ridiculous. You've done nothing. You've been an embarrassment at your pass rush, and now you're going to bat my ball. Like, that should be illegal, not allowed.
Yeah.
Which funny. I thought was hysterical.
Yeah. That was funny.
McAfee, so they kept showing McCarthy, and like he just had this like dumb look on his face, and McAfee would be like, oh, awesome. Oh, like just kind of like talking like he was McCarthy. Then they gave, when CeeDee Lamb dropped it, CeeDee Lamb dropped like a 50-yard.
That's right when I got home from tryouts.
And they're like giving Cooper, the play caller for them.
Yeah.
Kellen Moore gives like the thumbs up, and they're like, oh, yeah. Peyton's like, yeah, thumbs up. Dropped another one. Good job, CeeDee. Thumbs up. We get to punt again. Awesome. Yeah. And then McCarthy's like, okay. They're making fun. So then there was the one where they talked about the long field goal.
Yeah.
And Eli's like, well, I saw him make it from 61. And he goes, you didn't see anything. I told you that in your ear. He goes, you've never watched kicker warm-ups in your life. And he goes, you'll never know. And Eli's pretty funny in those situations. There was one more where I was hollering. Eli said something that was kind of like insignificant but was kind of like his strategy opinion about something that was going on. And then Payne goes, oh, great. Well, I'll sleep well tonight knowing that now. I was just like, oh, man, it's great.
There was one in the third quarter. It was 3rd and 26, and Peyton's like, yeah, that's on your call sheet.
He's like, hey, you got that.
Where's that on the call sheet?
Call timeout. He's doing more timeout. Don't you dare call a timeout now.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, my God.
What they've done, though, is they have if you want the traditional game, you have, I think, the best group in the NFL doing it. And then if the game's garbage, you go to them, or even if you're not invested in it personally, if it's not a team you either root for like we do, obviously, or a team that you're going to see them next week in your division, all of those instances, I go Mannings.
I'll always watch the Mannings, period.
You wouldn't if you ever had to watch us. I told you that last year.
For sure.
It's distracting when you're watching your team play. It's tough.
Here's the other thing. McAfee was a great guest.
Yeah.
Tracy Morgan was like saying things like out of left field, but he was entertaining, and they were kind of playing off it, and so that was okay, and his delivery's funny. But the Jimmy Johnson never knowing when to talk and when to not talk, and he just kept kind of bungling it, I would say. Like, you don't need that. I love, though, the fourth quarter, they had nobody. You don't need anybody in the fourth quarter. Let them let the two of them just roll.
I don't think you need anybody in the first either.
No, I would do two guests.
Yeah.
Second and third.
And make them both A-list.
Very good.
And I think it's important that the person in those, they need to have some understanding of the NFL and how broadcasting works. That can be helpful, certainly. But other than that, I thought it was They've done it, though, and the only place that could do it is ESPN because they don't care about the rating on one particular thing. They're going to take the entire rating. This morning I was prepping for my morning job, and it was like 5:30. I went on ESPN.com, and on their main page there were 6 clips of Manning funnies.
Oh, yeah.
So they're getting both. They're
and their
getting
ads
audience.
are saying that.
Yeah.
We don't care what you watch.
Yeah.
You can have
don't
us
care.
or you can have them.
Whatever.
Whatever.
And
Just be here.
to be egoless on both sides, to not do it.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing that this is what Manning has chosen. Like, he just kind of wants to be like a football ambassador mixed with Letterman, mixed with football savant guy. He could have done anything.
I like it. Whatever he's doing, I'm in.
I'm in too. I'm for it.
I'm for it.
But it's pretty great.
Last night was so good.
It saved the game because I would not have stuck with that game into the fourth quarter
I
without
stuck
them.
with that game, just get kicked in the gut.
Right
like
in it. Yeah.
Pollard, thanks a lot.
As you heard off the top, is this new today? The top line here, is this new today, or were we dealing with it? Did you have this yesterday?
So it was on there, but we weren't sure. But today is, the real
It's
lunch.
official.
How about that?
How about
Finally.
that? Brought to you by Bally Bet, coming
about
soon
time.
to Ohio. Cleveland Browns Daily brought to you by Bally Bet. We welcome them aboard. This is going to be a fun era of Cleveland Browns Daily, and look forward to that in a very, very big way. Lots to get to on the program today. We will go around the NFL. We do have what we learned from all of the games. The Steelers game, we will put that to bed. Take a look out in terms of that. You have that to look forward to, which is nice. A little bit of fantasy football. Do we have a little higher or lower? It looks like we do. You have that to look forward to. A little better or worse as well. We're off and running on a Tuesday edition of Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland. Fans, mark your calendars. Face Off on the Lake, presented by Meyer, the first major outdoor hockey game at First Energy Stadium. On February 18th, the Ohio State Buckeyes will host the Michigan Wolverines at First Energy Stadium. Tickets on sale now, starting at just $12. For more information, visit firstenergystadium.com/faceoff or call 440-891-5050 for more on that. Yep.
Some news out of Cincinnati.
All right.
Their big defensive tackle, DJ Reader, to miss at least a month due to a significant knee injury.
Not good for them when they got Miami there on Thursday.
Yeah. Quick turnaround there. By the way, can we talk about, did you watch any of that Cincy Jets game?
Yeah.
Okay. Explain to me, because I didn't listen to it, so I didn't get the explanation. If you did, great. How T. Higgins' catch
and touchdown,
which was a touchdown, was not a touchdown.
So I missed the explanation of how it wasn't.
I don't get it. He caught it.
It was a red zone
Both
one.
of his toes were tapped into the end zone clearly.
Yeah. Why was it not looked at?
So somebody said that there's a rule that if you tap your toes that way and the heel is out of bounds, that then it comes down out of bounds, that's considered incomplete even if your toes were in first. But think about if you're going this way where your feet, you're on your top of your toes.
That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
That actually counts as being a catch.
That doesn't feel like that could possibly be that. Right?
No.
Two toes are two toes. What difference does it make?
What difference does it make?
Land?
The toes are in and he's caught the ball. It's a touchdown.
It's a touchdown. That's it.
Like I watched that replay and I'm like, touchdown.
Yeah.
And by the way, that's a touchdown. Also win, no big deal.
Same for me, by the way.
I'm quite bitter about this loss.
Well, yeah, the T. Higgins one and he was great.
Oh, and in my league, that would have put him over 100 yards as well. Because remember, he had 593, gets knocked out, comes back miraculously, and then they didn't really throw the ball anymore because they were whooping him.
Well, that was the other thing about this weekend. We talked about the games and some of that. I mean, the fact that he came back in the game, the fact that Tua did.
So the Higgins one, and again, these people have to be cleared by independent people. So with Tua, at least what Miami's saying is it was a back injury and his back seized up on him, and that's why he fell down. Look, you can't get back in the game just because your team wants you back in the game. There's an independent neurologist who has no affiliation with your team whatsoever and is there with his reputation or her reputation on the line to make sure that if you go back in the game, you have been cleared, period. So the notion that the Dolphins could force him back into the game is erroneous. It is false.
Yeah. Yeah, that was I was surprised, though, because it looked like one that you would not ever come back from.
And I thought that guy could have gotten thrown out of the game. If it was college, he would have
for sure. Yeah, that would have been
automatic.
Absolutely targeting, done for the rest of that game and the first half of the next.
Auto eject. So one thing, Zeke wears it. Clyde Edwards-Helaire wears it. I don't know if anybody else wears that helmet.
Yeah.
I don't know. At first, I hated it. And Zeke with the dark visor, I actually thought it looked pretty cool.
So how is he allowed to wear the dark visor?
I don't know. It must have been grandfathered in from before the visor.
Because you're not supposed to do a dark visor, but I'm starting to see them more and more around the league.
Maybe with that helmet you're allowed to? I don't know.
The whole point was you have to be able to see the eyes for the concussion protocol.
Yep.
That was the deal. But I've seen several guys in the dark helmet.
Yeah. But those helmets visor are really futuristic and weird
looks like a
looking.
NASCAR helmet.
Yeah.
Is what it looks like. I mean, it's got that NASCAR feel to it where it's, all contained. Those two guys, I'm starting to see that helmet around a little bit. I wonder who makes that.
I wonder what it is. Yeah, I have no idea. But it certainly is an interesting look. The other thing from that game real quickly was, and I hate to say it because he beat me and it really bothered me, but it really feels like Tony Pollard is way more electric than Zeke.
I think it's felt that way.
There's 2 years.
There's two instances of this going on in the league. Tony Pollard feels a lot better than Zeke Elliott, and Javonte Williams feels a lot better than Melvin Gordon. And both are dealing with, I don't know, some sort of veteran.
There could
I
be
don't know what it is.
A third sleeper. This Khalil Herbert in Chicago, he looked unreal when he came in for David Montgomery.
That doesn't feel as egregious
as
these two, but and also because I think the Bears are going nowhere, even though they're somehow 2-1. They're the worst. Got to be one of the worst 2-1 teams ever.
All they do is run.
Yeah, they can't do anything else. But yeah, I think that those two are bad. The Williams one just kills me every week. I don't understand it.
It's getting and now they're they're splitting him with Melvin Gordon. He doesn't play on third downs. Now they're running out some dude named Boone.
I don't think Nathaniel Hackett has a clue what's going on.
I think
by the way,
Javonte Williams has wronged him in some way. Maybe he's like whatchamacallit strong.
Don't let me get into that.
See, I don't even know his name. Whatchamacallit?
See, that's a problem.
Yeah.
The
Harold?
Harwin,
Harwin.
I think.
Laris, I know. That
Yeah,
guy's
that
a new
guy's-
little finger.
Yeah, but she give me a little more.
Oh, look at that.
Look at that.
We're in a loafer.
But he's in a full suit too. I mean, that means we're doing business. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty strong.
Looks like a spin
Oh, my
there
God.
for the kids. Now a gritty. He just grittied out.
did
in the
that
hall.
too?
Oh God.
Why not? Who's stopping
Senior
him?
swag. Well, nobody's stopping him.
Nobody does what he likes.
Unchecked.
Let's go around the NFL. Oh, but what is it? Ben Albright was right. He warned us about Javonte Williams. He warned us.
I will say, but he was also wrong because he said his favorite bet in the player prop when the Denver guys was that Javonte would go over his catches.
No, that ain't happening.
That did not happen. Well, he had like 11 in the first game. By the way, he was pretty darn good at it. And
Right.
then they're like, nah, Boone.
We're
Like,
good.
what did he do? That's what I
have
want
no
to know.
idea. I same thing with Harlan.
Bodie on the corner says black visors have always been allowed. It's the colored ones that are mirrored.
No, that's not
allowed.
true, Bodie. That's
I
not
don't
true
know.
because
Yeah.
our guys would wear like Odell because he would have wore a black one for sure. They would wear them in warm up and then
And then take
switch
them
to the
off.
tinted pink ones.
Yeah.
Remember the last couple of years?
That Oakley one that
Yeah,
you're allowed to
you
wear.
couldn't wear the full black. That's
Yeah.
that's new that's come back. Now there are some guys that were grandfathered in because they go to an optometrist and they can't handle the bright lights.
Yeah.
So there are some of those guys. Like I think Megatron was one of the guys who was allowed in because of the doctor's, the optometrist thing.
Yeah. We had a
but-
guy, Austin Pastor, right tackle for us, who was grandfathered in because
With
of
that.
something with his eyes.
Yeah. Around the NFL, Sterling Shepard believed to have a season-ending knee injury. Sources tell Jordan Run-On.
That
After
MetLife
doing
turf
initial
is a
tests.
problem.
You don't say.
I do say.
Yeah, it's every year.
Every year. That was non-contact. By the way, one of the worst offensive pass interference calls ever that could have impacted the outcome of that game.
Correct.
He's running a dig, and then the other guy runs behind him because he's a scramble drill and is running with the quarterback. And so, of course, he runs it. He tried to get out of the way. It's inconceivable that's called offensive pass interference.
Correct.
That's incidental. There it is. Dude, it's more of it. Look at him. Look at him. Look at him go.
What can he do? And he's with
Jeez.
Scarlett,
With Scarlett.
who's the antithesis of swag.
Yes.
He's the saunter.
Yes. He is just he's
Scarlett's the Scarlet
like
saunter.
homebrewed outdoor iced tea. That's
Yeah,
what he
there's
is.
no question. And then with walking with swag, it's an
Yeah.
incredible dichotomy.
It is. Great word.
Mac Jones diagnosed with a high ankle sprain, going to miss several games, according to Adam Schefter, including ours, potentially.
And he's going to get a second opinion, which means that the first opinion was recommending surgery. He's getting a second opinion now to try to avoid surgery. But I think it is going to be quite some time before we see him again. And apparently, Bill hasn't decided if he's going to go with Brian Hoyer or Zappi.
I don't know who Zappi is.
Bailey Zappi.
Bailey Zappi
I believe
or
is his
Brian
name.
Hoyer.
Yep. That's where they're at.
Look at what that organization. Now they're going to be competitive for sure, but my God, that's happening.
They were
That's
hanging
where they're
right
at?
there. Yeah, Bailey Zappi went to Western Kentucky.
Wow.
The
Hilltoppers.
Hilltoppers, that's right. Joined the Patriots in 2022.
Either that or Hoyer returning home.
Right.
The Iggy grad returning home.
Yep.
Here in a couple of weeks. Former three-time Pro Bowl cornerback Xavier Rhodes is visiting with the Bills. They've got big problems in their secondary.
Yeah, injuries.
Huge.
I mean, injuries,
It's early in the year for this type of stuff, stacking.
and it feels like it's stacking more in a few like a few teams are getting hit hard. The Niners are getting obliterated.
Yeah.
The Chargers, when we just talked about, 4 of their top 5 players were out. We're starting to get it on our defense because, we don't know the status of Clowney. We don't know the status of Taven Bryan. We certainly don't know the status of Myles Garrett. So 3 of our 4 starting defensive linemen could be out this week. Our Mike linebacker and the guy who's been playing some of the best ball on our team, Anthony Walker Jr., is out.
Yep.
So it's starting to, in our front 7, certainly it's starting to pile up.
Buccaneers practicing this week in Miami in preparation for their game Sunday against the Chiefs due to Hurricane Ian. That is NFL Network's Tom Pelissaro with that. My dad flew out this morning down there. He's going.
How was it? How was the trip?
It was good. It was good to spend a little time. It was quick. I think he thinks that our life is insane based on all the running around with the children that we do.
Yeah.
It was very different than the way we grew up. There was one, my dad is 74, will be 74. My entire life, he has been beer after the workday guy.
Yep.
Has a beer, sometimes it's 2, almost never more. I've never seen him intoxicated. in my life. Never. For my entire life.
Wow.
And I'm a man, I'm 40. I have never seen him drink anything in the privacy of his home or my home or like family that was not Miller High Life.
Okay.
That's it. That's the list.
Okay.
Nothing else.
Okay. So what does he have on this
every
trip?
time he comes, I have High Life.
Yep.
So today, this trip, he's like, yeah, I don't drink that anymore.
What's he drink now?
What are you talking about? I mean, it's your whole life. This is all I've ever seen you drink.
This is like, don't call me
that's
Pedro.
And he goes, yeah, I'm drinking PBR now. I go, PBR? Really? This is what we've migrated to.
So we've elevated?
Is
in
it?
his mind? No.
But not. I don't know that he's even viewing it as an elevation because I don't think he cares. It's just what would make you, after 40-some years of drinking the singular beer of your choice, and not with any variation, switch to something else. And he goes, I just maybe got sick of it. I'm like, you're 73, dude. For 50-some years,
is there
this is
a
all
huge
you drank.
difference in taste between?
Yeah, there is. Yeah. High Life is very distinct, for sure.
I don't know.
Yeah, it is.
I can't believe he wasn't like a Yellow Jacket guy.
No, he didn't like that because of the rodeo. He doesn't. Fake rodeo people drink Yellow Jackets. Yeah, so he doesn't like fake people.
I thought
fake
you were going to
cowboys
tell me
not
he's like
for.
all of a sudden drinking like a nice wine.
Oh God, no.
Or bourbon.
No. He'll drink a Canadian whiskey from time to time.
Only Canadian.
Yeah, usually. He'll drink a rye every once in a while. But no, it was so he went PBR. This would be like Henry Ford showing up in Detroit in a Chevrolet and just be like, I like the front end of this one. Huh?
When did this happen?
He didn't have a lot of answers for me on that. Didn't really want to get into it. Crazy.
And he also is going from a light to a heavy.
No, same.
PBR light.
No, they're both. It's Miller High Life, not Miller Light.
Oh, gotcha.
High
Sorry.
Life.
Sorry.
Oh, so Miller Light would probably be indistinguishable for
That's
PBR.
what I would think, yeah.
Miller High Life has a
Gotcha.
specific taste to it.
Yeah.
The champagne of beers.
Right. Is he
strange.
a can or a bottle?
Doesn't care.
Doesn't care.
No.
I would think for the High Life you want it in that bottle.
Yeah, I would think so. He doesn't ever pour it into a glass though.
No.
Whatever
it's in, that's how he drinks it.
Yep. He's a big koozie. Wants it, keep it cold. Put it in a koozie. That big koozie guy. It's crazy.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
And this is somebody can educate me about this.
Sure.
Because I'm not a beer drinker, or certainly not a beer out of a can or a bottle drinker, like the whole koozie world is like lost on me.
It just keeps it cold.
But how?
Idea. It keeps your hand off of it. The heat of your hand off of the bottle. Or glass.
But half the bottle's still exposed to nature.
Yeah, but if you hold it, the heat from your hand doesn't seep through the aluminum or the bottle. That's the idea.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
So it's not like claiming to have some like Yeti technology powers.
No.
Okay, it's just like a more protected.
And I don't know. He's that's what's so crazy is every other thing in his life has remained the same for my entire life, with now this one lone exception. It makes no sense.
So how did the conversation start? So he
Well,
opens the fridge.
there
You're like, here's a High Life for you.
I
And he's like,
I always buy him a 12-pack.
he's like, I don't drink that anymore.
And he's like, oh, I should have told you. He wasn't like a jerk about it. He's like, I should have told you I'm not drinking that anymore. I went,
So did he have the High Life, or did you immediately
no,
go
I
out
had the High Life, and then no, he didn't. He had a Modelo. He like refused
like,
it.
I'm done with High Life.
I'm done
Like,
with it.
Not only
Done with it. So we had to
it's
send.
dead to me.
Yeah. So when the blonde went in to get the boys, we had to pick up PBR.
This is very much like Pedro.
It is. I'm telling you, they probably couldn't be more different, but are the same.
Yes.
They're the same in a lot of ways. Yeah. Their lives have been very different. Their lifestyles are very different.
Sure.
But in terms of their ethos,
Their ethos is the
it's
same.
really.
And where they apply their.
Yes.
Right.
And I would say that you and I are very similar in our joy bouncing off of their negativity.
No doubt.
I think that's probably true.
No doubt.
Yeah. I mean, I just think you need more explanation of I just don't like the taste of it anymore. Like, that's the best you can do for me. I don't understand.
How much did you go? How much did you have like a trial? Like, how much did you try to get into this?
He did not have any other answer. I kept doing like I'm doing now. I'm like, but that doesn't make any sense. Like
the flavors off.
What's different?
Yeah.
It's the same.
And when was the seminal moment that you had where you said something that I've had for 5?
Oh, he did
6
say
decades.
that there was a High Life shortage at some point in the last year where he couldn't get it for a couple weeks.
So he had to.
So he
adapt,
had to adapt,
and then he said,
and then he just stuck.
"The grass is greener."
Guess so.
In PBR land.
And I thought to myself, I wonder how many things in your stubborn life have you passed up on, where you could have improved, but because isn't this an example of that?
Totally.
Who knows what else is out there for you?
Millions of things.
Live, brother. Live.
Life's too short.
It really is. All right, what we learned from Sunday's games coming up next. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Bo here for my friends at Renew Home Exteriors, offering high-performance products that are durable, long-lasting, cost, and energy-saving. They'll transform the look and efficiency of your home. Don't go into the winter with concerns about your roof. It's the last thing you need with Renew Home Exteriors. Get a new roof installed in 7 to 10 days for no money down and payments as low as $96 a month. Plus, receive free gutter guards with your proof of purchase. Beautify your home with premium siding and roofing products at lower prices with Renew Home Exteriors. Visit renewestimate.com for more. All right, time for a little What We Learned Sunday from all of the games around the league. Dr. Z, let's start with Denver and San Francisco, my friend.
Like Russ, it looks cooked.
Do we need traveling music?
It's crazy. I'd like some music. I'd have traveling music.
This feels like a traveling music
Yeah.
situation. Like any sort of, that's it. Now you got it. Good job, Ian.
He had 9 3-and-outs, the most in a game in his career. He just looked totally cooked to me. I think that whatever they're doing on offense is maddening. I'll talk once again about it's just play Javonte. Like, it's so gross to watch. It's almost like they have no plan.
Yeah.
They have no cohesive offensive like philosophy. It's like he pulls plays out of a hat. It just they're awful. And the Niners to lose this game is absurd.
My one thought on this is why Kyle was.
Of course, I need more.
This is why we need more.
Yes.
Because even on the one, Garoppolo hit, there was one down the seam where Debo had beat his man. If he throws it on stride, he's gone. It's a touchdown. He put too much air under it. Debo has to stop.
Wait.
It waits for it. He falls down. It's a gain of 26. It could have been a touchdown.
Yep.
If it's hit on the screws. Jimmy going into the back of the end zone is just inexplicable.
How do you do
Can't
that?
happen.
Yeah.
I really wanted to see. I was very fascinated. This is a bummer on Lance because I wanted to see what he would look like running this offense 6 weeks from now. They're fortunate that Jimmy's there, but it's also reality of why they went on to Lance to begin with.
Yep.
Packers 14, Buccaneers 12, my friend.
Something's off with Tom Brady. We've been saying this for a while. He looks off. Their receivers are off. But I thought the play of this game, and I talked about it yesterday, Vita Vea dropping into coverage at 350 pounds as a nose tackle, and then driving to the ball, hitting Aaron Jones and forcing a fumble to goal line is one of the most incredible NFL plays I've ever seen.
It was interesting. It was like watching two old gunfighters with chambers that weren't full of bullets.
Brady
But
more
Brady's,
so than Rodgers.
Correct. Brady could still make the throws, but like something ain't right. We've been saying it for a long time. There's just something's off there across the board. I think it comes home to roost. Like he didn't want to be there. He tried to leave, and he's still there, so that's part of it. I picked Green Bay to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. They haven't been great, but I haven't seen anything to lead me to believe that they can't get it sorted out either. I still feel pretty good about that in the NFC.
Agreed.
Jacksonville, 38. Chargers, 10.
Gave the stat yesterday. The Jags, from 2018 through 2021, had not won a single game by more than 21 points. They've won 2 in that fashion already this year. They are looking really, really good. Trevor Lawrence, Zay Jones, and then one thing that I don't know what we're talking about is James Robinson the best return from an Achilles ever? Because right now he's a fantasy megastar.
Yeah.
He's scoring every single week for them, and he tore that Achilles in the season last year.
It's remarkable how quickly it is.
And that they're just ETN is like an ET afterthought.
Yeah, you don't – good. Yeah, no, that's – kind of makes you question. It's really remarkable how badly that operation was run under Urban Meyer. You knew it'd be a bad operation. You knew it was a bad fit. It was all of those things tenfold. And now just with competent coaching, because their roster's decent, pretty good, and Lawrence looks the part. I'm also 1-2 on the Chargers. I know they're hurt. I get it.
Yep.
But 1-2.
So
who do they have this week?
The Chargers this week. I'll look that up.
They got us in 2 weeks.
As I look it up, I will talk about them real quickly. So in this game, we mentioned Herbert's banged up.
Yeah.
They did not have Keenan Allen. They lost Rashawn Slater, who left mid-game. Joey Bosa left mid-game.
Yep.
Their starting center, Corey Linsley, was also inactive, so 2/5 of the offensive line was gone. And J.C. Jackson, their top corner, was gone, and Keenan Allen was gone. I mean, like, of their top 10 guys, they were without 6 of them.
Yeah.
That matters in the
It
NFL.
does, for sure.
But you've got to figure out a way to overcome at home.
I didn't think they'd be slumped, though.
No, the slumping was
one thing to lose. It's another thing to get hammered.
So they have coming up, they've got the Texans in Houston, then at us, home Broncos, home Seahawks, at Falcons. So, I mean,
it's manageable. Very manageable.
Pretty good.
They'll be favored in every game there except for
we're the toughest game for them, probably.
Yeah, the way the Broncos are, they'll probably be favored in every game.
Yeah.
Rams 20, Cardinals 12.
Again, tough watch. I've been saying
Is
before.
all that?
I don't know what all that is at all. I don't know, but
Halloween candy, I bet.
oh my God, an immense amount of Halloween candy. Cooper Kupp, 4 catches for 44 yards. That snaps his streak that had been 24 games with 5 or more catches. So Deontay Johnson is now the trendsetter in the league, 15 games there. They need DeAndre Hopkins back. It's obvious. And I think when he comes back, this offense has a chance to be all right.
Hollywood Brown is off to a start. He's on a heater.
He's playing great, 14 catches for 140 yards in that one. But the Rams really can't get much separation, it feels like. It feels like the only times that they can do anything is off of play action. Like they can't just drop back and pass.
No, agree. The one thing I would say about Arizona, too, is I do wonder if there's buyer's remorse with Kingsbury on the contract. Because there's got to be. It does feel like he has no authority figure at all to Kyler. Like, he complains about Kyler openly.
Yep.
They tried putting in the stuff in his contract. He says, you think it's easy to call plays, you call them. Like, they obviously have a lovable relationship, but there's a little bit of love-hate to it as well.
No doubt.
And it does feel like he's very limiting to what they will be able to do long-term. Falcons 27, Seahawks 23.
Actually a fun game, and I'll focus on Atlanta. They're putting points up, man.
They are.
Every single week, they have the ability to put points up. And so for the Browns, this is a game where you watch it and you say to yourself, okay, we're going to need to put some points up. And they've got a fun kind of what I would call trio on offense. So, by the way, going back to it, 26 in a loss, 27 in a loss, and 27 in a win. So, I mean, they've been right there at the 27-point mark, all three. But, they finally made an effort to get Kyle Pitts the ball. He had 5 for 87. Drake London continues to deliver every week. And then Cordero Patterson.
How is this real? This was a guy with the Vikings and the Bears. And he was a kick returner.
He did it last year.
I know, but it felt like an aberration. But it's not. It's real.
Here's what I don't even think people would even realize about how long ago. Like, Cordero Patterson came into the league in 2013. Yes, he was a first-round pick of the Minnesota Vikings. Yes, he is a 4-time Pro Bowler in his career. All of them as a returner. Prior to last year, the most rushing yards he had ever had in a season were 232 in 2020 with Chicago. Last year, he runs 153 times for 618 yards. Through 3 games, he's averaging 100 yards rushing per game. 49 carries, 302 yards, 6.2 a carry.
It's crazy.
He is averaging 100 yards rushing per game. Last year, it had 1,200 total yards of offense, which is the most in his career. But he had never been over – his rookie year was the most, 627. Since then, 1,200 yards last year, and he's on pace to do 1,700 yards this year. It's unbelievable, and then neither one of these teams play any defense at all.
And the funny thing about Atlanta is they're scoring all these points, and Mariota's just fine. Like, he's not good. He's 60% passer, 200 yards,
all right, though.
3 touchdowns, 3 picks on the year. Like, it's nothing.
No, it's nothing crazy.
It's nothing crazy.
Their
offense, very
offense,
average.
They do a lot of things that we do. It's a similar type
Arthur
of
Smith
scheme.
can call it up.
Yep.
That is a roster that if you put a dude in there and they get Calvin Ridley back next year, that gets pretty scary pretty quick in a division that doesn't have a lot of big-time teams. Miami 21, the Bills 19.
Great win for Miami. How about the fact that, Mike McDaniel's 3-0. Unbelievable. The Bills absolutely should be able to – they should have won this game. Gabe Davis had a touchdown catch. Oh, that one would have won me my fantasy game as well that he just dropped after he caught it. Like, I was like, touchdown. And
we have a lot of the same guys, I'm thinking. Higgins, Davis, Cook,
Justin
Williams,
Jefferson.
Javonte Williams. There's a lot of them. Yeah.
A lot of crossover. Ken Dorsey went berserk, which was fun to watch. But How about just the fact of the matter is that this Miami team knows how to win, and they've got a pretty darn good defense with Agba and Ingram. You got Howard played well. Javon Holland is a great playmaker. They're real. The Dolphins are real. I still think Tua, watching him, it doesn't feel like – he doesn't look like the other guys that I would call elite, but he's getting the job done.
That was weird. Like he was consoling Allen after the game.
He put his head on his shoulder. It was very odd.
Was he just in exhaustion because he had played 90 offensive plays in 99 degrees?
It was odd.
Mike McDaniel's first 3 coaching wins as a head coach. Bill Belichick, John Harbaugh, Sean McDermott.
Not bad. 3-0 in your face.
3-0.
Love
Eagles 24, Commies 8.
Just an absolute beating. Carson Wentz stinks, and he'll tease you with some big games, but for the most part, he stinks. Devontae Smith is, I think, becoming a megastar before our very eyes.
Well, it's interesting because he had no catches
the first week.
0. Nothing. And now
zilch. Well, that's because they have an offense. Oh, by the way, Dallas Goedert had 3 catches, 26 yards in the first half and a touchdown. Hurt his shin, comes back in the game. It's a blowout. They don't throw anymore. If he caught one more pass, would have won. Again, not a big deal.
No big deal. Nothing
not mad about it. Yeah. Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is as fun as a player to watch right now in the NFL as there is.
There aren't many teams that when they get off the bus can stare us in the face and I go, okay, in terms of up front, offensive, defensive line. When we're healthy and at our best and another team is, there aren't many teams that pass us or are equal to us in an eye test. When they were here in camp, they were.
They absolutely
And you went, oh, okay, if that kid can throw it, then they have everything they need, and boy, can he throw it. They're crushing it. They're the most dynamic team in the league right now.
They're a team. If there's one thing that I feel like is holding them back right now, they're a team that feels to me like they're a running back that they know they can give the ball to, that can get tough yards away from being really good. And I wonder if that's a team that would Dearness Johnson make that team better as a running back? I don't know. It feels like that's the one thing they don't have. Miles Sanders, you cannot rely on him. The other 2 guys are so small, Gainwell and Boston Scott. They need a guy who can just run.
3 weeks into this season, the 2 teams that are playing the best are the Miami Dolphins and the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yes.
I don't trust either one of the quarterbacks in terms of being Super Bowl teams, but they're off to great starts. And maybe they can be. Maybe they can prove that they are worthy of that. Long way to go.
Yeah.
But they have both looked very, very good. I'll tell you what we're going to do. Let's take a quick timeout.
Sure.
We'll go through the rest of the league week 1. We'll get you your higher and lower, your better, worse coming up in this second hour as well. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. the official printer partner of your Cleveland Browns. While you depend on the Browns to win, you can always depend on OBM because we tackle any size office. 216-485-2000 or OhioBusinessMachines.com. Let's finish our tour around the National Football League in Week 3. We are in Chicago. Bears 23, Texans 20. Brutal way to lose for the Texans.
Oh, yeah, tip ball, late pick. And by the way, this is another one. Comes right back to me. Dave Montgomery, come on, brother. And by the way, don't come back and be like, I'm kind of okay, but not. Just take a month off. Get healthy.
One or the other.
Got Khalil Herbert. We'll be fine. Just get out of there. They throw the ball all the time. Justin Fields, their passing game is as atrocious as I've ever seen. Here's one thing that I don't understand. Dameon Pierce looked good.
Yeah.
And yes, I know he put the ball on the ground, but they didn't lose it. But, why are you benching a guy that has clearly got way more juice than Rex Burkhead?
Rex Burkhead came into that game. He's still in the league.
Rex Burkhead is still in the league, yes. And, yes, he fumbled. He didn't lose any of them. He was not a fumbler in college. The guy ran for 81 yards, had 102 total yards and a touchdown. He looked great. And then they're like, yeah, one more. You got to go to Rex Burkhead. Ridiculous to me. Get out of here. Texans.
Lovey Smith is coaching the Texans.
Yes, and
what
such
a crazy organization.
Insane organization. And Davis Mills is who you thought he was.
Yes, I believe that he is.
That's right.
I don't know. It's hard for me to know what's going to happen with Fields there. If he will be back next year, if they will try to move on. The problem is they don't have any of their picks because they traded them all to get Fields. So they're kind of stuck in that scenario. They can't really improve the roster. Yet somehow they're 2-1.
They're already talking about who's going to be the quarterback for the Bears next year. That this experiment is over and failed and done. And if they ruin him,
this is what I feared about
this
him.
is
Why he
awful
went there.
for him as a human being. And listen, if you can find out that
you'll get another chance.
Yes, somewhere.
Winston, Mariota, Baker. A lot of these guys have gotten second chances.
A lot of them,
but they've been proven that what people saw in them wasn't right. And I do think sometimes you do too much damage that no matter what the original talent was, they can't overcome.
Recently speaking, the only second chance that has worked out for a first-round quarterback is Tannehill, right? Is there another example of it where they've actually gone somewhere else and gotten better? Darnold
better,
didn't work.
I don't know. I mean,
no Darnold, no Mayfield.
Teddy was a second-round pick, right? But he had the injuries. But I don't know. Was he better than he was in
Alex Smith?
But he went to the playoffs with the Niners and was
and he was established too. He was there
a long time veteran, right?
Yeah. Teddy got hurt in Minnesota and then was really good with the Saints.
Goff, I think is solid, but Teddy was still a backup.
He was still a backup. Yeah. Goff's probably a good example. But Goff's pretty good.
It's not that great so far.
No.
By the way, I think. Let me just say this. So they have their bye week 6.
Mm-hmm.
So week 7. DeAndre Swift should be 100% healthy again. Word out of Detroit is that Jamison Williams will be 100% healthy and ready to go. That could be a fun offense.
Yeah, because Jamison Williams runs 4-3.
Jamison Williams is going to be their best player.
Yeah, so that's where that's headed. Carolina 22, Saints 14. What a mess this Saints situation has turned into with the injury to Jameis.
Dreadful. He looks awful.
Jarvis went out in this game. Michael Thomas went out.
Both went out. Yep. Olave is good. Baker is brutal for them.
Yeah.
It's that this was a disgrace to offensive football, much like the Denver 49ers game. It was really, really bad. And there's really not a whole lot to be excited. I mean, your best play on offense is a throw out and Laviska Shenault makes a guy miss and is able to run the whole way, and your defense, they look dreadful.
What do you do? I mean, if you're Carolina,